chose to share with you guys is bamboo. I chose to share bamboo because it represents when Journey, Nancy, and Ben and Officer Pete set up a trail so hopefully someone from the Chinese ship would understand its purpose. Its purpose is for the sake of the pandas. The quote I chose to use is, Ben drove us back to the main gate and we laid out a branch of bamboo, then a few feet away, then another and another. The second item that I decided to share was a camera, because not only does it represent Journey's dad's job, but it also represents the significance that a picture can hold and carry forever, and later it represents Journey's photo being published in the newspaper. The quote that I chose to go along with my camera is, well, what kind of job is taking pictures in the middle of the night anyways? And hit her dad's side. While behind him, Callie Ray lit a cigarette. When I squalled at her, she put it out. I'm a photojournalist, Dad said. The next items I decided to share is a cup of coffee and a milkshake. The cup of coffee and the milkshake represent the discussion that Journey and her father have at the Ovaltine Cafe. They learn a lot about each other, and Journey learns a lesson. The quote I chose to symbolize the bond and the connection that they create at the coffee shop is, I grab my school bag and jacket with one hand and my dad's hand with the other. Behind the coffee cup and the milkshake, you see boxes of cereal that also represent Mr. Huang and his friendship between Journey and Nancy. Journey buys the newspaper from Mr. Huang in his store, and in his store is one of the first signs that Nancy showed that she can read, which I think is a pretty significant place in the story. The quote I chose to imply significance in Mr. Huang's store is, I was putting price stickers on boxes of cereal when Dad dropped me off at the store on his way to the newspaper office. The next item I decided to share is the orange cat. The orange cat symbolizes Journey and David trying to understand something that had happened between Journey's parents and his a long time ago. The orange cat also symbolizes Journey and her dreams of what life could be like. She imagines having things that she did not, like a bike or a picket fence. But she was never jealous of other people. She was happy for them. The quote that I chose to share with the orange cat is, it had stopped raining by the time Mom and Dad and I got to the blue house, but the big orange cat was still curled up on the porch looking at us in the way that cats have, as if they owned the whole wide world. Mom looked at the cat and took a deep breath. The panda bears behind me symbolize Journey Winsong Flanahan Chaparro and what she stands for in the end. She is courageous, happy, and resilient, thanks to the love, support, and help from all those around her that love her. The quote that I chose to close with is on page 170, when Journey says, I thought so many thoughts as I watched the film that I wondered if my brain might just explode. I thought about my friends and my family. I thought about Miss Bickerstaff and how the school and the war and China and the pandas. I had a wonderful daydream about how the world might be from now on, how the school might be better now, how Miss Bickerstaff and Ben Wallace would get married and no one would care what color they were. I thought about Nancy becoming a great writer or poet, and Anally taking over her family's business and making a huge. I thought about Michael Booker and how one day he would forget his terrible family and become a good man with a good job, maybe a policeman like Officer Pete. I thought about Jen Chow and Mr. Huang practicing their English together. I thought I would try to make better friends with Patty McGuire because she was probably sick of her sisters by now, and we just live upstairs. I thought about David Schumann and how I could ask him if I could pat his cat one day and maybe get some ice cream together. I thought about Kentucky Jack going to meetings with my mom and giving up the drink for real, and Contrary Gary getting his head fixed. I thought about poor Callie Ray and decided to give her all the dimes of my piggy bank so she could call her family and ask them to come rescue her. I thought about my mom and dad and how I wish they would love each other again and that we could be a family. I knew that wasn't going to happen, but I thought it was nice to think about. Mostly, I thought about the pandas and how they were going to have a new home in Washington and how happy they were going to make people there. I knew that's all I wanted from life, was to make people happy.